Should you fire your co-founder? Over 50% of all co-founding relationships end up failing. And if there's one thing I'm an expert in, it's failed co-founder relationships. After all, the first two teams of co-founders I tried to start my company with didn't work out. It wasn't until my third team of co-founders that I got it right. In today's video, I'll explain the 10 warning signs that you've chosen the wrong co-founder, and should you fire your co-founder. I hope you like it. Hi, I'm Brett. On my channel, I help early stage startup CEOs like you raise money and grow your startup. So if this sounds like you, then hit the subscribe button and the bell so you get notified every time I release a new video. Let's get started. Warning sign number 1. Your co-founder doesn't agree with your vision for the company. When I started my company with my first team, Jim, John, and I seemed to be working well together. I knew Jim from our time together at Maxim Integrated Products, and he recommended John, another Maxim alumni, as our VP of Engineering. I checked my network for references on John. Everyone I spoke with felt it was a coup for me to have John as part of the team. It was clear within a few short months that John had different ideas for what we should do than I did. Right or wrong, when this happens, either one of you adjusts or one of you is not going to be in the company anymore. John chose to leave the company, steal our IP down to the slide deck, and start another company. Warning sign number 2. Your co-founder doesn't understand the trade-offs of working with investors. The problems weren't just that we disagreed on the company's direction. John also felt we should raise less money. I wanted us to have at least 2 years runway. And John felt we should keep more equity and raise less money. Maybe it's unfair to say John didn't understand how investing works, but he didn't seem to understand that you lose control of your company the second you take venture funding. And a co-founder that doesn't understand the realities of working with investors is a dangerous co-founder. And that was John. John felt he knew better than I did what to do, and he quit. Warning sign number 3. Your co-founder is paranoid. I had known Jim for close to 20 years before we decided to work together and start a company. I thought I knew Jim very well, so it was a complete surprise to me to find out that he was absolutely paranoid. Jim felt that every move our investors would make, down to what type of stock we would get, would be to our detriment. And John, who clearly knew Jim better than I did, used Jim's paranoia to get him to quit and start a competing company with him. Paranoia is good in small doses. However, a co-founder that's overwhelmed by paranoia is almost impossible to work with. You'll find yourself constantly trying to keep them in check, and it's usually not worth it. Warning sign number 4. Your co-founder lacks integrity. Jim and John, in my opinion, lacked integrity when you sum it all up. It's okay if you want to leave a startup. However, it's not okay to steal the IP of the startup when you leave. And I'm sorry, but stealing IP means you don't have integrity. So in my book, I dodged a massive bullet when Jim and John left, because you can't trust someone that doesn't have integrity. Interestingly enough, Jim and John never could get their new company off the ground. The same issues they had working with me, a lack of understanding of how the investment process worked and paranoia kept them from raising money. Warning sign number 5. Your co-founder truly isn't committed to your startup. My errors started to cascade after Jim and John left. I found myself without a team after Jim and John quit. I brought on Doogie in the marketing role to replace Jim, but it was harder to find a VP of engineering. I felt I was dead if I didn't find a new VP of engineering quickly. I started an all-out search for John's replacement. 15 days later, I brought on Julius as John's replacement. Bringing Julius on so quickly felt like I'd pulled a rabbit out of my hat. However, I didn't know Julius, and I had never worked with him before. I was moving way too fast, and I was increasing my risk of failure in the process. Julius seemed to buy into our plan. However, within 2 weeks, Julius quit because he wanted the security of being in a larger company. The mistake was all mine. I was in such a rush to find someone, anyone, to replace John, that I didn't do my due diligence on Julius. If I had, then I would have found out quickly that he wasn't going to stick. Warning sign number 6. Your co-founder can't handle the ups and downs of being in a startup. Let's get back to Doogie. Doogie and I, like with Jim, had known each other for years. I knew when I had asked Doogie to join my company that he had, to say it nicely, a propensity to panic when things got tough. However, when you're desperate for people, you take risks with adding co-founders. Well, if you're smart, then you slow down and take your time before you add another co-founder. But I wasn't smart. Doogie started out great. He was on fire, and we made a great team. However, it was short-lived. Doogie couldn't take the uncertainty of fundraising, and he quit. Yet another lesson learned. Warning sign number 7. Your co-founder complains about everything. I haven't told you the story of Raphael yet, have I? Raphael was an excellent engineer I added in the 3rd group of co-founders. He was another known quantity because we had worked together at Maxim. The problem was that Raphael liked to complain. And Raphael especially liked to complain to everyone on our team about why we hadn't raised money yet. Things came to a head shortly before we closed our initial funding. I started thinking about the challenges that awaited us in our post-funding future. I knew that Raphael, instead of digging in and fighting through the problems, would just complain. And all it takes in a small team is one complainer to allow a cancer to start growing. I let Raphael go right before our initial funding closed. It was another dodged bullet. Warning sign number 8. Your co-founder isn't good enough. Back to Julius. Even if Julius was committed to my company, it wouldn't have mattered. Julius was a downgrade from John. Worse, I knew he wasn't as good as John, and yet I still went forward with Julius. It was a mistake to add another mediocre co-founder to your team. The reason is your founding team sets the bar for the rest of your hires, and you will end up with a mediocre team at best when you have mediocre co-founders. And that's where we were headed with Julius. There are certain areas you can't scrimp on, and your technology team is one of them. I got smart after Julius left. I took my time and waited until I found exactly the right person to join as our VP of engineering. I was rewarded with my patience when we hired Jeroen to place Julius. Yes, it took another 8 months to find Jeroen, but everything fell into place when he joined the company. Warning sign number 9. Your co-founder can't get along with the rest of the team. The final co-founder to join our team was Randy. Randy was a very experienced, very capable addition to the team. Randy did a lot of good things for us, including helping us add our only angel investor, industry legend Bob Dobkin. However, for all of Randy's skills, he couldn't get along with anyone. Randy was the proverbial bull in a china shop, fighting with everyone he came in contact with. His interpersonal problems left me no choice but to fire him. Warning sign number 10, your co-founder doesn't want to work hard. I saved the saddest one for last. I started my company with one of my closest friends, Ken. Ken and I had known each other for years. We had worked together, and we had been talking about starting a company together for years before we actually did. Ken was on all 3 of the founding teams that I had. He was as gung-ho as I was about starting our company. However, when it came time to get to work, Ken didn't want to put in the hard work necessary to win. It was apparent to me that Ken wasn't working hard. It was apparent to my other co-founders that Ken wasn't working hard. And it was apparent to my board of directors that Ken wasn't working hard. I tried everything I could think of to get Ken working like he used to. Sadly, nothing I tried worked. Ken quit with no notice about 1 year after we got funded. Now, if this content is resonating with you, then please hit the like button right now. One final thought. Protect yourself and your startup from co-founders that don't work out with a vesting schedule for the equity you give your co-founders. Maybe I'm just a bad judge of people. But the frustrating thing is that it's difficult to identify many of these warning signs before you start your company. Indeed, I had worked with several of my failed co-founders previously, and their bad behavior didn't show itself until they joined the startup. That's why you want to have a vesting schedule for all your co-founders' equity. It should be a 4-year vesting period with a 1-year cliff at the start. The 1-year cliff is key because you don't lose any equity if a co-founder leaves before the 1-year cliff. Now, what did you learn from today's video? Put your answer in the comments column below today's video. And if you have any questions, put them in the comments column too, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Now, I have just one more thing for you today. It's my free startup pitch deck template. It has all the slides you need to develop an awesome pitch deck. Click the link below today's video, and it's yours for free. And for more great content, click on the video at the end of today's video. And if you haven't already, then click the subscribe button to get notified every time I release a new video. I'm Brett at brettjfox.com. Thanks for watching today. Take care. Bye.